Today, Israel is an oasis of peace and economic prosperity in a turbulent region. Israel sticks out. Israeli leaders, many of them, have put an effort into maintaining a peace process with the Palestinians. Today, Israel has no peace. It has something else, a modest word called quiet. A better tomorrow would be for this enduring conflict to come to a peaceful and satisfactory end between the Palestinians and the Israelis. However, this peace has become elusive so far, and very few people believe in it, with the exception of the American Secretary of State, John Kerry. We don't know what tomorrow will bring for Israel. Certainly, there are enough big threats looming over this resilient nation. The sworn enemies of Israel also have a vision of what they want for Israel in the future. Some Arab and Muslim political and religious leaders have made their dreams for the future of Israel clear. They have compared it to a cancer in the region. Others said they are committed to wiping it off the map and driving the Jewish people into the sea. See, happiness can come in different forms and shapes. These leaders have not achieved the destruction of Israel. If anything, Israel is stronger than it was 10 years ago. In fact, sometimes I think the more they wish for its destruction, the stronger Israel becomes. What I worry about, though, is that through propaganda and indoctrination, some of these Arab and Muslim leaders have achieved in shaping the minds of millions of Muslims, not only across the Middle East, but across the world, not to rest until Israel is destroyed. In what is now called the Arab Spring, thousands of Arabs, young Arabs, have stood up to their leaders. Some have succeeded in deposing their tormentors, others are still trying. But unfortunately, in their passionate hatred of Israel, not much has changed. The Islamists seem to have usurped the Arab Spring revolutions, and they have maintained as a matter of principle that peace with Israel is out of the question. In the tomorrow that they hope for, the tomorrow that they dream about, and the tomorrow that they pray for, Israel does not exist. Today, I think the ordinary Israeli man and woman in the street knows this and is ready to live with this bitter reality. The future is sometimes hard to predict. The future of Israel is not so hard to predict. There will be more and more moral condemnation and boycott. Some Arab Muslim leaders will continue to buy, to beg, to borrow, and to steal weapons of mass destruction. They will maintain a sustained campaign against the legitimacy of Israel to exist. They will provoke Israel into border skirmishes, and Israel's retaliation will be touted to the world as Israel's aggression, occupation, and the attempted annihilation of the Palestinian people. Iran will continue, with the new president in the lead, to pursue the nuclear bomb. Egypt has begun talks with Russia on the possibility of an Egyptian bomb. It's only a matter of time before there'll be Turkish bombs, and talk of a Saudi bomb. In the near future, however, as the situation in Syria continues to spiral out of control, chemical weapons might be used, and not only against the Syrian opposition. In the middle of this today, a sectarian war has been unleashed that divides Shias against Sunnis. On the short term, it's possible that some in Israel may think that a Sunni-Shia war takes attention away from us. But on the long term, it can only lead to more fragmentation, and more fragmentation will lead to a complicated web of actors without a central order, very much like Hezbollah, but then 10 or 20 of them. That is not an attractive future. I see a gleam of hope. Some of the Arabs that surround Israel, young ones, have started serious attempts at pursuing democracy and the rule of law. Those who are sincere in that pursuit will not see Israel, and do not see Israel, as a potential enemy, but as a potential ally. Theirs can be a beautiful tomorrow, for they have so much to gain. Today, they need help from Israel and the US and other places. They need guidance, they need resources, they need a safe haven. If Israel's tomorrow seems incredibly hard to contemplate, we must think about Israel's yesterday. People who know that, people who are as old as the president, or perhaps older, will maintain faith in Israel today. For I'm sure if you continue to be as resilient as you are, that tomorrow will be better. Thank you.